Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday nights podcast. We are so excited for our guests tonight, so we don't want to waste any of their time tonight. Tonight, I have our Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos, and our Secretary of Commerce, Stephen Pryor. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Tina. So glad to be here with you and with the Secretary.
Oh, I am so excited to have you tonight. I'd like to have you both, for anybody who may be living under a rock and not know who you two are, I would love it if you could take a few minutes to introduce yourself and what you do for the state of Rhode Island. We'll start with you, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you, Tina. So for those of you that, who I have not met yet, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Believe me, that's my goal this year, to go to every corner of the state of Rhode Island and introduce myself in person. My name is Sabina Matos. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for the state of Rhode Island. I was appointed Lieutenant Governor by Governor McKee last year. And I'm going to be making sure that I get to know you in person and I get to have a conversation with you one-on-one in person. That's my goal. I come from a background of being in the local government. Before this position, I was in the Providence City Council since 2010. My last role in the Providence City Council, I was the president of the Providence City Council. And it has been the honor of my lifetime to have this opportunity to serve the state of Rhode Island as the Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, thank you. And we are so honored to have you because after meeting you, once people meet you, they love you because you're just a phenomenal person. And
Thank
Commerce
you.
Secretary Stephen Pryor, you are another amazing friend of mine. Please.
So proud to be your
yourself.
friend.
What was that?
I'm so proud to be your friend, Tina.
Oh, I am too. So tell us what you do.
So I'm the Commerce Secretary for the state of Rhode Island. I am currently serving my second governor. I'm so proud to have been appointed by Gina Raimondo and to work right alongside Dan McKee and our great Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos. So the commerce umbrella in state government encompasses work around helping small businesses and all businesses to succeed and to grow right here in Rhode Island. So we've been providing through the pandemic relief to small businesses through the grants that we've been offering for businesses that have experienced losses due to the COVID pandemic. We help provide small business loans all year round, whether there's a pandemic or not. We also help larger businesses meet their needs. We try to attract new businesses to Rhode Island to help grow jobs for Rhode Islanders. We connect Rhode Islanders with opportunities through job training, working with our sister and brother agencies, including the Department of Labor and Training. We also oversee Quonset, the business park and the seaport. We work closely in coordination with the 195 district, the new Innovation and Design district in Providence. We help with business regulation, help with permitting for businesses, et cetera. We're here to assist businesses, and working alongside Lieutenant Governor Matos, we're also doing a lot more around housing, helping to ensure that we invest in the housing stock that Rhode Islanders need at every income level, all walks of life. So that's what commerce is. And I'm so pleased to be with you, Tina.
Oh, we're so excited. And just to give a shout out too, every other Tuesday, you guys you co-host a small business podcast at noontime on Facebook. So make sure you guys are all connecting to that. And if you don't know how to, reach out to me and I will link you up because I am their top fan and I am on every thing, putting in my 2 cents in the comments. So we'll just say that. But now that you brought up housing is such a big issue in our state, especially affordable housing and the homelessness, issue that we have been going on. What's going on with housing and what is the most important thing that people need to know? Lieutenant Governor, we'll start with you.
Yes. So I'm going to start, and after the Secretary is going to give you even more details about housing. I feel very excited that right now we have the whole leadership of the state of Rhode Island is paying attention to the need that we have to have affordable housing, but to have housing at all income levels of the state of Rhode Island. The Secretary was talking earlier about how Commerce has been working really hard trying to attract new businesses to the state of Rhode Island and to support the businesses that are here. One of the biggest challenges sometimes in attracting new companies to come to Rhode Island is they want to know if there's going to be housing and what is the quality of housing and housing available for the workers, and also the education. Those are two things that the companies are always looking at. Here at the state of Rhode Island, we have not been keeping up with the need of housing in the state. We have not been developing new housing and also maintaining the properties that we already have, the housing stock. As you know, we are one of the original colonies, right? So many of our housing stock is really old. It needs to be maintained and needs to keep, and we need to make sure that is meeting the need of this century. And also trying to make improvement on our housing to make it more energy efficient. So there's so much work around housing that we're doing right now, but having Governor McKee, having the Speaker Shekarchi, and having the Senate President Ruggiero and the Commerce Secretary Stephen Pryor, we're all in the same page and prioritizing housing makes a huge difference. So when I talk to any of the developers or anyone from the housing community, one of the things that they said that they always saying is, if you had asked me 2 years ago or 3 years ago that the state of Rhode Island was going to be putting so much emphasis in housing, I wouldn't believe it. Like, we cannot believe what is happening right now. In Governor McKee's budget, he has allocated $250 million for housing. This is historic. This never happened before. And we have so many new initiatives and programs in, I'm just gonna pass it over to the Commerce Secretary so he can give you more details about those.
My pleasure. It is an enormous priority for our state. All of our elected leaders are really unified, all of the top leaders in carrying out this agenda of promoting and making available quality housing at different price points, including affordable housing and workforce housing, so that we can help Rhode Islanders find the housing stock they need. So there's several different programs that are now underway with more resources. One of them, Building Homes Rhode Island, is a bonded for program that gets dollars on the street to developers to build affordable housing, in particular, housing for people who can't afford market rate housing and deserve to be under a roof in safe and clean, affordable housing. So we have just recently allocated $31 million across an array of projects throughout the state to help get these developments going. We also have, for the first time in Rhode Island history, a steady funding stream that's going to replenish funds on an annual basis, multiple $1 million every year, to also bring about more affordable housing. Beyond that, we've just launched a site acquisition program that's going to help developers of affordable housing find the sites of sufficient size that they need to build the housing stock. So you've got to have the land prepared and ready so that the shovels can go into that ground and build such housing stock. We've got a program that now does that. And best of all, under Governor McKee and Lieutenant Governor Matos, we now have a proposal for $250 million out of the federal American Rescue Plan, the state fiscal recovery fund component of the American Rescue Plan, $250 million for affordable housing and housing more generally in our state to ensure that we build more housing stock so that we can catch up in the way that the Lieutenant Governor is referencing. We haven't built enough to keep up with demand. It's a supply-demand problem. And we haven't kept up with our nearby states, our bordering states, and the rest of the region on the rate of production. We've got a lot of catching up to do, but this kind of investment, $250 million, is going to be very meaningful. And we look forward to working with House and Senate leadership to bring its passage.
And what we need to make sure is that we're not only building affordable housing stock out in the community, it's accessible. It's physically accessible for those who need it, for families who or maybe the mother, father, or the children who need the accessibility, but out and about in the communities, we need accessible housing. I know that as a huge priority to most of my listeners, here. So is that part of the housing? Is that something that's on the radar?
So Tina, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because in my office, every time we talk about housing, we talk about affordable and accessible. That's the way how we talk about housing. Has to be affordable and accessible. That's how we define it. But also, some of the big changes that are happening right now is the secretary has right now a deputy secretary of commerce that is just dedicated to housing.
Yes.
Governor McKee appointed Josh Saul, who is the deputy secretary of housing, and he is looking at everything that we have to do at the state to address the housing crisis. And another point that I wanted to mention is when you talk about affordable housing, I like to talk about what we mean for affordable housing. There's affordable housing that we need at different income levels, right? We need affordable housing for those that has very limited income, but we have our communities in which we would like to have our teachers or the firefighters or the police officers live in the communities, but we don't have a housing that they can afford to pay for. So if you want to have those professionals living in your community, you have to build more affordable housing that they can pay for with the income that they make. Another point that we like to make is to talk about affordability for the senior citizens also. There are many individuals that want to be able to continue to live in their community, and because of they retire already, or sometimes because of health issues, they're not able to maintain the property that they had before, and they don't want to move out of the communities where they have been, but they need to find a property that is affordable and accessible to them. And that's why we have to concentrate also on building new units that are going to be affordable and accessible to the senior citizens that want to age in place.
Yeah, and also the disability community of all ages, from the young 20s all the way up, who want to live out and about in the community and do not want to live in a manor or a housing complex because we like our independence, or we're ready to start a family or date, or go out and have fun. We need that affordable housing. So we thank you for that. The next thing I want to talk about is, especially around a lot of the high rises, the businesses around them. Like I can name two in Providence that they have to travel a mile just to be able to access the businesses around them because the businesses are not ADA compliant. So if they're using a mobility device, they can't get in. So I'm going to address this one to you, Secretary Pryor.
Yes.
What would you say to local businesses as why ADA compliancy benefits them and their bottom line? Like, why is it so important?
It's enormously important. And I want to say, Tina, this message is to business people, including business people who run small businesses, and it's to developers. I want to get back into housing a little bit. It's the same message. Accessibility is to your advantage, business people and developers. And that's because there is a very significant audience, customer base that wants to shop at your stores, that wants to dine at your restaurants, that wants to live in your complexes or developments. And only cannot be possible if you make them accessible. So that's why the Lieutenant Governor always uses this theme of affordable and accessible and housing. And that's why we have multiple programs that can help small business people, can help developers. So let me get into that a little bit. So first of all, if you are a Main Street business, meaning that you are on a commercial stretch and you want to improve your entranceway, you want to improve your facade and your overall appearance while you're at it, you want to make it more accessible and attractive for customers, including customers with disabilities, we have proposed a program called the Main Street Program as part of the governor's budget for the utilization of the American Rescue Plan dollars, so that Commerce would have a new initiative where we can invest in main streets, the front door, if you will, to small businesses in a commercial stretch, and accessibility absolutely can be part of the budget and the project. And I want to encourage small business people, landlords, for ground level retail and for commercial properties generally, please talk with Commerce, because number one, we want to advocate for this program in the General Assembly so we get it funded. Number two is we want to know your needs to make your properties ADA compliant. We want to do that. Similarly for housing. If you are a developer out there and you're listening to this program, we want you to build ADA compliance into your renovations, often required by law, but we want you to do it. And if you're building a new complex or development, we want you to build accessibility in and include that in your project pro forma, and let us brainstorm with you about, here are some funding streams from Rhode Island Housing. Here are some tax credits, such as the Rebuild Rhode Island tax credits from the Commerce Corporation. Let us figure out how to fill a gap in your project budget to make your development, your project more accessible.
And there are so many tax breaks out there, I just want to throw out, that are already built in, that you can get 50% state and 10% federal back for ADA compliancy. Now, just to give you a little bit of stats, Federal Hill, just a little over a year ago, before our big Accessibility is Beautiful event, there were 2 restaurants that I could actually roll into. When they redid their sidewalks, ADA compliant, so they went graded to the building. So now there are 14 businesses that I can access and my community can access on Federal Hill that's still beautiful, that has not taken away from the historic value of Federal Hill, but now they're letting more people in to raise their bottom line. Lieutenant Governor, what do you think about that?
So definitely I agree with you, Tina, and this is more revenue for those businesses. And as you know, Tina, and your audience know, ADA compliance is the law. Title 3 of the ADA clearly states that any small business that participate in commerce, they must comply with the ADA law. And I always, every time I talk with you about this topic, I love how you always want to be proactive, right? You're not looking to make any businesses to get any fines, although there are fines associated with businesses that don't comply. But your attitude and the way how you go about this is to try to be proactive and to help them comply with the law and help them make sure that they're going to be able to attract new customers. And the small businesses or the business community should be asking themselves the questions. Can the individuals that have mobility issues or have any disabilities, are they able to access my business? Are they able to access the goods and services that my business provide? And that also includes your website. You have to make sure that your website is accessible. And so you have to be thinking about those, asking those questions of your business to make sure that you have access to this community of customers that want to spend money in your business. And they cannot do it and they don't know about your business because they cannot access your website, or they don't know, or they cannot access your business because it's not accessible to them, physically accessible. So I want to talk to every business owner out there. And I love how you always says, you're always available to go and roll through the business and see and give them feedback to how they can make improvement. The business community out there, I just have to tell them, this is to your advantage to make sure that your business is accessible.
And what we do when we do the roll through, it's free. Did I mention that? It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to learn how to become more accessible and let more people in. Well, one
business people, you got to take Tina up on that.
Yeah. And one statistic I would like to tell everybody, what they don't realize is 26% of the population has a disability. But what people don't realize is half of our population in 2 years are going to be 60 and older. And 45% of that population identifies with using a mobility device, whether it's a walker, wheelchair, or a cane. So if you're not talking about accessibility for your business and you think you're hurting now, you're going to be alienating half of Rhode Island's population by 2030. We don't want you to go broke. We want you to do it step by step, but we want you to be prepared to let more people in by 2030. I'm going to
Tina,
ask
can I
this
build on
question.
that? Can I build on that for just one
Absolutely.
more? While we're citing
Yeah.
statistics, there's a pathways study that came out. And in case business people are wondering, I think there, many people in the audience are already convinced, but I want to make sure everyone is. Over 54% of consumers with disabilities indicate that they would shop more frequently, that they would dine more frequently, they would spend more money in restaurants and stores that have made an effort to be accessible. I mean, the majority of customers with disabilities would spend more money if accessibility were clear and if the storefronts and restaurants were more accessible. One more shameless plug, if I may, Tina, to make sure that we foster more accessibility, that we get even more businesses in on the act. Another program under Governor McKee and Lieutenant Governor Matos is Take It Outside. So Federal Hill Restaurants and the Federal Hill Association have been very, very active participants in this. We've invested money to help bring more tables and chairs outdoors, heat lamps outdoors, you name it. Even the Hospitality Association has even done branded blankets for Take It Outside to help people stay outdoors longer. Very often outdoor settings can be more accessible for people. You don't have to go, navigate your way into an establishment. And we encourage business people to ever make their Take It Outside activities more accessible. But there is currently an RFP on the street, a request for proposals for organizations to receive our Take It Outside money, a new round, and to do even more of the restaurant tables outdoors, shopping outdoors. You get the idea. And we want to make sure that each and every time it's accessible.
Yeah.
And if 54% of disabled people want to spend more money, they're not going out to eat by themselves. They're
That's
bringing
right.
other people with them. So 54% plus one, you're talking 108%. So it's a no-brainer. Become accessible. Go ahead, Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that topic also that today's shopper and consumers are more aware of diversity and inclusive. And this can be also a selling point for the businesses. You're doing the right thing, and you also can promote that. Make sure that you let people know that your business is inclusive, and that's going to increase also the number of individuals that want to come to your business.
And once you become ADA compliant, you call me back out and I will come and do a free video and a roll through of your business to show how accessible it is and post it all over my national nonprofit website pages. Did I say national? So you're not just getting Rhode Islanders, you're getting all of Southern New England and across the country. So I will give you free promotion too. So you're going to raise your bottom line. You're going to let more amazing people into your stores, and you're going to get free promotion and commercials. How do you say no to all of that? Lieutenant Governor, this question goes for you. Not only public businesses are important to be ADA compliant, but events, like especially all of our food truck events and stuff. It's just a matter of the setup. How important do you think it is for an event planner to consult with somebody like me or Commerce to make sure that their event is accessible and friendly to everybody?
It is key. It is very important. As you know, and you would just make some reference to the number of individuals that are going to going to be over 65. And if they want to be able to tap into that market, into that community, their business have to be, their events have to be accessible for everyone to be able to participate and to be able to go and shop and spend their money within those businesses that are participating in your event. If you want your event to be a success, you have to make sure that it's accessible to every individual. So I think this is key. It's very important, Tina.
Thank you so much. It is key, and it's a matter of just of positioning where you put your food trucks or positioning where you put your ramps and your lifts to make sure people, so have somebody in a wheelchair come on down and roll around. I will do it for free. Call me up and I will even wear a pretty sounding crown and sash to do it just to make it more fun. So invite me down and let me roll through your event and give you a free assessment. So that way you are taking advantage and letting in as many people as absolutely possible to enjoy your event, to support your event and your cause. It's, again, a no-brainer. Secretary Pryor, this question is for you. What do you think businesses or events feel their biggest barrier is to becoming ADA compliant?
I think it's typically funding. Typically, can they afford to do it? And I think one of the things that we are discussing here together is that it pays to be accessible, because your customer base is going to grow, and Tina's going to publicize you, so it's going to grow a lot.
Free market.
So that's it. And I also want to point out again, if you are a business person and you're trying to renovate, and you're on a Main Street stretch, or you're doing a project to expand, it could be retail, it could be, for that matter, a manufacturing plant, and you want to make it accessible, and you want a commerce investment, Rhode Island Commerce, build it into your project budget and come talk to us, because we can fill project gaps up to 20% of project costs. We can provide a gap filler through the Rebuild Rhode Island tax credit. We also have something called tax increment financing, where we can pledge back the new taxes generated by the development to that complex to help make it happen in the first place. Come talk to us, because we can make sure it pays for you if you want to develop it that way. Make it accessible.
And
Just to give you,
Tina,
go ahead, Lieutenant Governor.
there is also the possibility of applying for federal tax credits and deductions that your business could qualify for making your business accessible. So
Very true. In the federal tax code, the Lieutenant Governor, go ahead, Tina, please.
Just to give everybody a little bit of perspective, there was one down in Narragansett, there was one beach that put mobile mats outside that wheelchairs could actually go on the sand and have a drink and have their dinner outside of the club. I went down there to check it out. Channel 10 showed up, filmed me for 10 minutes, put me on the air. They tripled their business, and it has not slowed down until the cold weather came.
Listen to
because
that.
Everybody who needed the accessibility went, because they could enjoy our beautiful beaches right on the sand, enjoy a drink, enjoy their dinner and their family. Their business tripled. Who wouldn't want to triple their business by allowing more people in?
Yeah. And that's definitely, that's the goal. That's what we're trying to get across in this message. And as Secretary, I think you were going to add something about the tax code also?
Yes, Lieutenant Governor Matos is exactly right that in the IRS tax code, partly as a function of the ADA when it passed in 1990, there are provisions to take deductions for making property accessible, a deduction of up to $15,000 per year for expenses associated with the removal of qualified architectural and transportation barriers exists, $15,000 per year under certain circumstances. Please consult your accountant, your CPA, before you undertake this and assume it. But $15K a year, not bad. The Society of CPAs, I know, would be available to you if you're trying to find your CPA. Yeah. But there are, Lieutenant Governor is absolutely right. There are provisions in the federal tax code to help you out. Yeah. So the feds and the state can assist you if you're ready to make your property more accessible.
So Tina, you should invite Melissa Travis to come and give you this information from the Association of CPA.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, to give you another perspective is I did a roll through to the oldest library in Providence. They said to me right off the bat, it's going to cost us $50,000 to $100,000 to change this historic library into ADA compliant. It cost them $800. I can get to every single room in that library. Are they 100% ADA compliant? No, but can I get to and access every single room in that library? And that's what it's about. We're not about trying to make you go broke. Do your front door, do your bathroom next year, do it in small increments, but at least make the progress of doing it and allowing more people into your restaurant, we come out and we will train your employees how to interact with the disabled community to make sure that it's a fun, pleasant, interactive event. So we'll also show you how to hire the disabled community, because who wouldn't want to work with me? I mean, if your building is accessible, I will have a party at your place every night. Let's go. I'm ready. You know what I mean? But I'm already on staff, on the Lieutenant Governor's staff and the Commerce Secretary's staff. I'm a volunteer
That's the
staff
truth.
member on both of their staff, so I'm kind of a little spent right now.
I
love
think
it.
your energy is boundless.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Yes, go ahead.
Next question for Lieutenant Governor. How would you promote to local city and towns why they should be promoting this to their local businesses? Lieutenant Governor.
Yes. So as you know, Governor McKee and I worked really closely with the different leaders of municipalities based on our background, both coming from local government, from municipalities. We understand how important the working with the municipality is to improve the quality of life of the residents of the state of Rhode Island. Working with the municipalities, we can accomplish a lot to make sure that every new venue that is added, any new improvement that is done in the different municipalities is in compliance with the ADA. And earlier we were talking about the great opportunity of you connecting with the league. This secretary and I were commenting about this. I think it's going to be very, very important for them to hear directly from you, and everything that you're able to provide to them, the resources and your knowledge, and in how you can give them advice on how to make improvement. So working with the municipalities is key.
Commerce Secretary, I'm going to throw one at you. I did not send you this question prior, so I am not trying to stump you, but it was something that came up in 2 meetings that I was on today. So I'm going to bear with you and help you out here. We have in this state one taxi cab, one van, wheelchair accessible in the entire state of Rhode Island. So any person of disability coming into our state has to go to that one taxi cab company that has one van that is now booked out solid for the next month. How can we go about making, because my wheelchair doesn't fit on one bus in this city, in this state. So I can't even take the bus. The RIDE program has an extensive application, so you need to get pre-approved. By the time you do all that, there's no sense, like out-of-staters and stuff could not use that. How do you think that we could work on getting more taxi cabs or more affordable vehicles to help people get around, and we can bring in commerce from other states of people with disabilities and be able to get them around our state?
Very good question. I can't believe how few are on the street based upon what you're saying. That's terrible. Tina, what I would say is I'd love to team up with our Rhode Island Department of Transportation Director, Pete Alviti, and with RIDOT and with other agency executives in our state. I would love to reach out to, frankly, auto producers, and on the one hand, see what kind of deals can be made to work with our taxi providers. And RIPTA might want to get in the act on this too. And I'd like to scour the federal grants. I bet there are federal grants that would help to pay for the vehicles for some of our taxi cab fleet owners to purchase a new vehicle that's accessible. By the way, let's make it green. Let's make them electric, but let's start with accessible to meet the need that you just described. So if you are hearing this program and you do run a taxi fleet, or you're an individual driver and you'd like to make your vehicle accessible, reach out to us. And with RIDOT and with RIPTA, for that matter, I'd like to investigate this under the governor's and lieutenant governor's guidance.
And that just shows how amazing you are, because 5-6 years ago, there was a bond or a help program that we did have 5 or 6 in the state, which I still don't think is enough, but it's better than one. But they, after 5-6 years being a taxi cab, they have to change over, and no one renewed it because the money ran out. So there was a program a couple 5-6 years ago, but the money ran out, so nobody picked it up. But this one taxi is booked out for the entire year.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
imagine
Mhm.
our summer with all of Newport open, and we have the accessible catamaran that comes down, and all of the
Yeah.
wheelchair users that come, and they can't get to any other part of our state because there's no vehicles to cart them around. We need to do better. We have a
Yes, we do.
beautiful ocean state
Yeah.
that we want our local people to come in and see it, and we can't get them around. So thank you so much for looking into that, because I'd love to be
Absolutely.
again on that. Not that I don't have enough to do, but it's another one I will add myself to, because
Yes.
it's important.
Yes, it is. Truly is.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Governor, what do you
Yes.
think the biggest hesitation for people in Rhode Island about ADA compliancy? What do you think their biggest hesitation is?
So I think one of the hesitation is that they think it's going to be costly, and they don't know that there are resources to help them have their businesses be ADA compliant. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges right now. We need to continue to provide them the information and about the resources that are available, so they understand that this is just going to help their business. We need to continue to have this type of conversation and letting them know about the potential for new customer that they can have by making their businesses compliant. And as also when you were talking now about the taxi, like I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that would like to have a business idea to have this service available. So you should be writing a business plan right now and making sure that it gets funded, because I think you're going to get funded, and there must be resources also at the federal level to help you with that.
If somebody really wanted to write a business plan in Rhode Island, here's my business pitch for you. I'm going to give you the idea and everything. How's that? Okay. Number one, you cannot buy an accessible vehicle in the state of Rhode Island. There are no dealers in the state of Rhode Island, which means you can't have your vehicle serviced in the state of Rhode Island, because you have to have it serviced under your contract and your loan with the person you bought it from. So which means that money is going out of Rhode Island.
That's wrong.
If you sold them and you service them, you could rent them and offer them out as taxi cabs to people. So now here's 3 businesses in one: sell, service, and rent accessible vehicles, and all of that tax money in the state of Rhode Island. Here you go. I just gave you your business plan. Write it up, sell it out, and I will help you promote that, baby, because that would help all of Rhode Island.
I remember the customer base, right? You just said in 2 years of the state of Rhode Island, we're going to have a population over 65%, over 65 years old. So
Yeah.
I think the customer is right there, right?
Yeah, and 2030, 50% of Rhode Island is going to identify with using a walker, wheelchair, or a cane, either temporarily or permanently. What business can alienate that many of our Rhode Islanders at this point, when we're just going to be building back up and coming back?
That's
We
right.
want to help you. We want to support you. We want to dance. We want to drink with you. We want to enjoy your business day and night. We don't just live to go to the doctors. That's a misconception. I want to party like everybody else. So invite us in, because you're going to meet some of the most incredible people that you will ever meet in your entire life. Lieutenant Governor, did we miss anything, or any topics that you think that we did not discuss tonight?
So there are 3 programs that, going back to housing, we want to make sure everyone knows about. And then before we end, I want to interview you for a couple questions. So,
Okay.
so the 3 programs that I want you to know about. There is the rent relief funding available. So the state of Rhode Island got $200 million for rent relief. So if you're a renter who are behind in paying your rent, you can apply for the funds. It can help you also pay for your utility bills if you are behind on paying on those. Also, if you are a landlord, you could apply if your tenant has not been paying the rent because they lost income due to the pandemic. So the landlord also can apply. Then we also have another program for the homeowners. If you are a homeowner and you're behind on paying your mortgage, you can apply for we have $50 million available. This is also through Rhode Island Housing. You could apply for those funding. If you're having problem paying your mortgage because you lost your job or your income decreased during this last 2 years of the pandemic, you qualify to apply for this funding. And also it's going to cover if you are behind on paying your municipal taxes. If you owe money for your taxes as a homeowner, you can also apply for this funding. And if you're behind in your utilities, also you can also include that in your application. Those are two very important programs that I want everyone to take advantage of those funding. Governor McKee always says, this is money that came back to us from Washington. This is money that we sent to Washington, came back to us, and we don't want to send it back. So make sure that you apply for those funding. Then there is yeah, go ahead, Tina.
And when in doubt, just apply, because you don't know if you're actually going to be accepted. So if you're in doubt, apply. What's the worst they can say? No? Okay. At least, but what's the best they can say is yes.
Yes.
Okay. So apply.
Don't disqualify yourself. Apply, you never know. And the other program that it was just announced last week also with Rhode Island Housing and Governor McKee and the secretary, we were in Pawtucket to announce it, is the down payment for those that wants to buy a home. It is $25,000 for down payment. So Secretary, can you want to tell us more about it?
Sure. Check out the Rhode Island Housing website, and they will give you all the details. But it is a newly established program, so come check it out and be an applicant, because otherwise you can't get it.
And Commerce Secretary, is there anything that you wanted to mention that I had not brought up tonight? So here is your 2 minutes of fame.
Love it. Yes. Okay. Job training, job placement. So first of all, let's start with the fact that ours is one of the strongest recovering economies in the country. We're currently ranked 6th in the country for the speed and the strength of our economic recovery here in Rhode Island. And by the way, it's not even close compared to Massachusetts. Massachusetts in the current ranking, 47th, we're 6th in the country. New York, 50th, we're 6th in the country. We lead the entire Northeast. That's a great thing. It also means that the employment market is tight, and that many, many employers are looking to hire new employees. It's a great opportunity. So if you are a professional with disabilities, if you are someone seeking employment, it's a great moment. It's great for everyone in the labor market. And I just want to point out that the state of Rhode Island can help provide training services in particular for individuals with disabilities. And I want to talk about, through support from the Real Jobs Rhode Island program under this lieutenant governor, this governor, Access Point Rhode Island offers job training for retail, for example, working with CVS. There's a specific tailored training program, learning on-the-job skills, developing soft skills, gaining employment skills. There's all manner of, from using a scanner to more strategic and in-depth skills around how to work in customer service, handling challenging customers, the whole array. There's hybrid in-person and digital training. Okay, that's Access Point RI that offers that in partnership with CVS and with the Department of Labor and Training. There's also CPNRI, Community Provider Network of Rhode Island, is doing a training with Skills for Rhode Island's Future, placement services with Skills for Rhode Island's Future to help people with disabilities obtain jobs. Again, this is an incredible time to seek it out. There's a program called Workability with an emphasis on the workability of residents who are seeking such jobs as opposed to disability. Skills for Rhode Island's Future offers this workability initiative, and they are working with multiple state agencies and multiple employers to help find these vacancies that are now abundant in Rhode Island. Check out, there's skillsforri.com/workability to get information on that. On any of these programs, I'm just illustrating, Tina, with some of them that Lieutenant Governor Matos and Governor McKee are helping to fund. You can check out dlt.ri.gov. It's an incredible time to enter or re-enter the workplace, and we want to make sure that professionals with disabilities have that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't remember any of those websites, message me. And I know all of those websites because some of my board members work for those
Of course.
organizations. So reach out to me and I will make sure that I put you in contact with the right person. So I have a feeling that I'm being put on the hot spot by our Lieutenant Governor now. So
So I want to interview you this time. Is tell us about your title and where you're going to go this summer.
I am your new USA Ambassador, Mrs. Southern New England, 2022. I am the first person of physical disability to ever run and win a local title. And in July, I will be going out to Florida to compete at the national level for your SLIC Ambassador, which is success through leadership, integrity, character, and confidence. And the top prize is a mission trip to one of 26 locations in the world. I would be the first person of disability to ever win a national title in a regular competition and go out for this mission trip. So we want to bring that title home to Rhode Island.
And then my final question is, if in order for you to bring that title back to Rhode Island, how can we help you? Anyone that is watching right now, how can they help you?
Anyone can help me. If there's any business that wants to throw a fundraiser or, you know, a dine out, because it's going to cost me anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 to get out there because I have to drive 20 and a half hours by myself in my motorized wheelchair and spend a week out there. You can Venmo Ramp Tina any donations that you would like to donate to help me get out there. But in the end, support Rhode Island, cheer on Rhode Island, because this would be a huge barrier breaker. This would be an eye opener that people with disabilities, no matter your ability, can compete with the best of the best, because that's what I'm competing with, the best women across the country for community service and bringing that title home to Rhode Island. This is my 50th year. I turned 50 in May. So this is my goal for my 50th birthday, is to bring this title home in honor of Rhode Island and my community, because that would be so important to me.
So I want you to repeat that Venmo so we can send you a birthday present so you can go.
The Venmo is Ramp Tina, RAMPTINA. Or like I said, if you have a local business that I can come out and do a roll through and you can do a small fundraiser for me. We are a 501c3. So if there's any business that wants to become a sponsor, it's a tax deduction. You can use my 501c3 to take a tax break. And I spotlight your business on the weekends on my national Facebook page. So you will be seen across the country for your services. And you would also be seen as equitable, diverse, and inclusive company. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? So if you're a business, reach out to me. I will send you the informative packet and you can become a sponsor and be spotlighted on my national organization.
Great. You did really good, Tina.
Oh, thank you very much. But I want to thank you both for taking the time tonight. Like I said, you're not only amazing leaders and influencers in the state of Rhode Island, but I also consider you friends. And
we do too.
Love that
consider you our friends.
Yeah, you are championing ADA compliancy and you are championing small businesses and housing and so much that everybody needs to support both of you in everything that you do, because you are really the people's people. You know what I mean? You are for everybody, no matter what their background is or whatever. You support everybody and you choose the best people for the job, no matter what their background is. And that's what makes you guys truly amazing and such wonderful supporters. So thank you so much. So I look forward to connecting with you. And I want to thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Tina.
Oh, anytime. And I would like to invite everybody back here next Wednesday night for our Wednesday night podcast. It will be Motion Composites, all about accessible events that we can use to go skiing and adaptive surfing and everything else that we want to do. So what an exciting show next week, because we have some incredible people on who do amazing things. And I'll tell you, surfing is so much fun, because I surfed the first time since I've been paralyzed, and it was the best experience of my life. I'll tell you though, when you first go and partner with Amp Surf and you come around the corner and you see all of these limbs sticking out of the sand, it's something out of a Stephen King movie, but it's exciting at the same time. So definitely come back next Wednesday and definitely connect with our Lieutenant Governor and our Commerce Secretary for all of your needs, and contact me. I will come out to your business for free and show you how to let more people in to
Please
raise your
pick her up
bottom
on
line.
this.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to connect with everybody out there in Rhode Island. And as I always say, don't just sit there, make a difference. Have a great night, everybody. See you next week.